So with that being said, Kyler Murray a couple of days ago, it's so frustrating when that happens. The other day when I was heading to work, the tiers for Mike Sando dropped, and immediately I was like, oh man, I really want to be one of the first guys on that. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case, but I got to tell you, the quarterback tiers are the essential Bible for me when it comes to all things NFL quarterbacks. And on Monday, the rankings were released. As I fixed this up for you guys in the literal grand scheme right in front of you, because I didn't realize I needed to put this on here because I was just not being smart about it. But the 2025 quarterback tiers were released on Monday morning. And as you can see, Kyler Murray was ranked 15th on the top quarterbacks in the NFL, finishing in the third tier. However, the best quarterback in the third tier. And this essentially means that Kyler Murray needs a whole lot of help for them to win a Super Bowl. But you look at some of the quarterbacks ahead of him: Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield, who I feel like is kind of low on this list. And you say to yourself, well, as much as I think Kyler Murray is better at his best than Brock Purdy's been to a couple of Super Bowls. Jordan Love has won a playoff game. Dak Prescott, although it feels like forever ago, has won a playoff game. Kyler Murray at the 15th ranked position in the quarterback tiers list, according to Mike Sando and The Athletic, being the first quarterback in the third tier of everything. I thought it was very fair. Here's the caveat. Kyler Murray being ranked 15th on the Athletics quarterback tiers and the first quarterback in the third tier feels very fair to me. Kyler Murray, I often say, is the most interesting player in the NFL because at times you get MVP level Kyler Murray, and honestly, consistently for stretches, you'll get MVP level Kyler Murray. But as I mentioned on Monday's show, where I felt like I was the only one saying that the interception that Kyler Murray threw on Saturday was really bad, to be completely honest with you, that's the epitome of Kyler Murray. The highs are so high and the lows are very low. So when you look at the list, what's the argument for Kyler should be higher? And I see my guy in the chat, Chill Peasy, if Kyler Murray was 6'1" or was 6'6", he'd be 7th. Agreed. This isn't a Ben Garcia show talking about the Chargers, but if you want my quick little rant there, no one has been given more leeway for doing less in the NFL than Justin Herbert. But that's neither here nor there. Kyler Murray hasn't been to a playoff game since 2021, the COVID year. Kyler Murray hasn't won a playoff game in his career. And you could blame that on the epitome that was the dumpster fire of Cliff Kingsbury's head coaching tenure, or the fact that Steve Keim was just not a very good general manager. And now he finally has stability, but still no playoff appearances in this new regime. It's time for the excuses to be put aside for Kyler. And we all have to come in agreement. This is a make or break year. The good thing about Kyler being ranked 15th and being the first quarterback in the third tier, it tells you something we already knew. For the Cardinals to win a Super Bowl, they need a lot around them, or they need a lot around Kyler Murray to make ends meet. And it's not impossible. Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, both quarterbacks that are not very far ahead of Kyler, Brock Purdy just one spot ahead of Kyler, have been to the Super Bowl. So it's not doom and gloom the way GMs and assistant GMs and, people who voted on this poll feel, because Kyler's not that far away from being a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. And the excuses are just out the window now. Here's the good thing. With a solid season, because of the physical traits of Kyler, if he can just lift those valleys up from being so incredibly low like we know they can be and become just a little bit more consistent, he's going to easily jump in the top 10. The question should not be Kyler Murray at face value, who's the better quarterback? It should be at their highest of highs, who's the better quarterback? And Kyler Murray at the highest of highs can be a top 6 quarterback in the NFL. We just know that that's not sustainable, and we know that that is not going to be a consistent trait. It's all about keeping the valleys for Kyler Murray that are so incredibly low and bringing them up even just a hair. That will change everything in the Cardinals season. And as much as someone like myself wants to continue to, dig into Kyler and agree with the polling, I've said all I'm gonna say on Kyler. At this point, you guys know how I feel. He's a solid quarterback. There are a lot other worse options. But as of right now, he has not earned the right to be named a top 15 quarterback. I fought tooth and nail last year. Kyler Murray was going to be a top 8 quarterback in the NFL by the end of last season. And all the way up until week 11, week 12, whenever their bye week hit, he spat in my face, made me look like a fool, and made a lot of other people look like a fool. We blamed Drew Petzing. We blamed the weapons at times, when in reality, Kyler Murray just needs to look in the mirror. He is no longer seen as one of the better players at the quarterback position. And he's no longer deemed as the young up-and-coming quarterback. He is someone that has lost his way a little bit in the NFL. And there's only one way to get it back: win games. So with that being said, there is a chance for Kyler Murray to get past all the criticism. And if he just has a solid year, we're talking about him jumping Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, I think maybe even Jalen Hurts, because we know what's in there. It's all about, can Kyler Murray be consistent? I'm not breaking any more news to you. This is what it is now. And you should not be surprised when you see these. When you see that he's just above Aaron Rodgers, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, Bo Nix. Guys, to be completely honest with you, you could make an argument he's not there either. I wouldn't agree with you. I would take Kyler Murray over these other 5 quarterbacks. But outside of Aaron Rodgers, which I didn't mean to name, I would not put Aaron Rodgers ahead of Kyler Murray. I don't even think there's an argument at this point for Aaron over Kyler. But Tua's been to the playoffs. Trevor Lawrence has won a playoff game. Geno Smith went to the playoffs. Bo Nix has been to the playoffs, all more recently than Kyler, or has won a playoff game. So, this just puts him ahead of Drake May, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Kirk Cousins, where Kyler just has to finally put it together. Now, where do I think Kyler will be next season at this time? I think it's pretty clear that the Cardinals are going to have a good season. And that Kyler Murray, I believe, is going to have one of the most solid seasons of his NFL tenure. So that's the question. We knew Kyler was going to be somewhere in the middle of the pack when these tiers came out. However, what's more interesting now is, where will Kyler Murray be next year? I believe because the Cardinals are going to make the playoffs this year. And I think there's a chance they're a very scary playoff contender. Some do not like it, but I think this is a conference championship level team. Maybe not winning it, but getting there. I think Kyler Murray is firmly in the top 10 of quarterbacks next year in this quarterback tiers list. Because I think this team has way too high of a floor for Kyler Murray to ruin it all on his own. I think just like any Kyler Murray year, he's going to have some real highs and some real lows, but he's never had the support like he will have this year to help keep him afloat. And so, because I believe the weapons are better, because I believe continuity matters, because the defense is better, I believe Kyler Murray next year will be a top 10, but if I had to guess, the 9th best quarterback in the NFL. GMs and coaches and assistant GMs and people that go off this list and vote off this list are looking for a reason to believe in Kyler. And I believe not only is he going to give it to him this year, but even in the moments where he isn't the best quarterback on the field, he has a team around him that can help elevate what he is. Similar to Jalen Hurts, similar to Brock Purdy. So this year, he might not be this year he's not a top 10 guy. But it depends how much he wins this year. And I do believe Kyler Murray is going to win more games this year than he did last year. They'll be a playoff team. And because of that, GMs will then start to believe in him and then firmly move him into the tier 2 of quarterbacks where they need help to win a Super Bowl, but not as much as a tier 3 quarterback does, like he currently resides.